Happy New Year, Indies! I hope you've set yourself some ambitious writing goals this year. This month, I want to talk to you about formatting. It's something we usually don't think about until all our drafts are done, but it's something you might want to consider sooner than you think. If you get off on the wrong foot with formatting, it can create a big mess for you to have to clean up later. So we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of book formatting, especially those things you need to know before you type a single word. Now, you may think it's fun to set up your work in progress to look like the perfect, adorable book with font choices and margins and pretty pictures in the headings, but you'd be wrong. You'd be very wrong. I made this mistake on my first draft of my first book, trying to set it up to look like a professional finished book as I was writing it. And believe me, it was a headache to remove all of that mess when I was done. Do as little as possible when messing with the style in your Word program. Allison of Athena Interiors says, just open up your blank Word doc and write. Don't touch anything else. But she does suggest that you set up your paragraph indents as styles rather than using the tab key. And every designer I spoke to agreed. Why, you ask? Well, when you use the tab key, that's an extra character that's being inserted into your book at the beginning of every paragraph, and different displays are going to show that character differently. Not to mention, then when formatting gets moved around, that tab can be hard to keep up with. So how do you set up a paragraph style? So here is an example using Pages, which is the iWorks version, the Apple version of Word. It works very similarly to most word processors, though these options will be in different places. For Microsoft, it should be in the Format Paragraph menu. As you see here, I have selected a paragraph indent and set all of my paragraphs to start with 0.5-inch margins. I can also use a header style for chapter headers if I don't want to have that indent there. Now on Google Drive, if you've decided to write there, and I don't necessarily recommend it because the autosave can get really bogged down once you get beyond 30,000 words. You simply move the little rectangle block on the ruler to set the indent manually. Don't move the triangle, that's the margin. Just the rectangle. Aside from that, the only other formatting you should use is centering certain titles and italics for thoughts or emphasized words. So just stick to center, left align, and italics. Don't even add extra space between paragraphs unless it's necessary for scene breaks. And then only add one. Those extra spaces go all wonky on e-readers and they turn into entire blank pages, which looks really unprofessional. Now, if you want your text to go onto a new page because it's a new section or chapter, do not just hit return a bunch of times until you have a new space. Don't do it. That turns into dozens of extra pages. Instead, go and insert a page break. A manual break. And I strongly advise against writing large sections of your book in a notes program that is not a powerful word processor. Before I got Pages on my iPad and the option to use a real word processor program mobile and then have my work on the cloud so I could access it at home, I thought it would be a great idea to write the first draft of Rescue or Royer Goldhawk's Remarkable Journal on Evernote. Ooh, it didn't go well. Evernote is a note organizing program and not a word processor. Every tab that I entered, because I couldn't set paragraph style indents, was automatically translated to 5 spaces that I then had to delete in my next draft. On top of that, the program didn't differentiate between left and right quotation marks and therefore put everything as a standard. I also had to switch those out manually when I wrote my next draft. It was a real headache. So be warned. Stick to Word, OpenOffice, Pages, Google Drive, Scrivener. Stick to a word processing program and avoid having to clean up after yourself later. Now, when your book is edited in its final form, proofread and everything, then and only then may you start having fun with how it looks. There are a lot of special considerations that you may not know about. Things like drop caps and how many words should be on a line of text before the reader starts to feel lost. How roomy to make the margins. How to space your text for the target age and genre. How to set the line breaks to hyphenate some words, but not too many. Here at Indie Visible, we are big proponents of hiring a professional wherever you can. So we suggest you hire an interior designer, and we have some suggestions linked below. They're pretty reasonably priced if you look around in indie circles. In fact, usually usually interior design is cheaper than a cover. And speaking of covers, Julianne of JT Formatting adds that you may want to get the names of your cover fonts if you're hiring a different designer. This will be really easy for your designer to pick up those fonts if they are open fonts. However, many professional looking fonts have copyrights and need licensing fees. So if you hire a separate cover designer than interior designer, you may be getting charged for that twice. But that copyright protection is another reason to hire a professional, because if you go looking on your own and just pull up whatever is on your computer, you could be getting yourself into some legal trouble. A professional designer should know how to manage the licensing of each individual font used. You may have to shell out a little extra for the license for that perfect font. Now, every designer I talked to wanted to remind you that the more images you contain in a file, the more it's going to cost for Amazon to deliver. So if you're going to use fancy fonts for the chapter titles or illustrations, that is going to blow up that file size. This is going to cut into your profits because Amazon will take a small delivery fee off of every file. In fact, large files will have a minimum price. You can't price a full color Kindle comic, for example, at 99 cents. Ebook files, therefore, should be as simple and elegant as they possibly can be. Now, they should have the cover page, copyright page, and a proper table of contents that is linked, but simple is better. If you really want to show off, the paperback is the place to do it. CreateSpace has some start files for interior layouts, but my cover designer, Amy Leigh Strickland, can pick out a template design like that when we're at conventions. And she's trained me on how to recognize it too. There's another level of quality that you will get from hiring a designer who gives your book individualized attention. And that goes for ebooks too. A good digital formatter has the proper software for the job. For a book with few to no images, you may be able to convert the HTML in a program like Calibre or on Kindle's automatic converter on their website. However, if you want images, if you want pretty header fonts, hire a designer, because Kindle and Calibre don't have the most efficient way of coding, and it adds excess data to your file. It's going to make anything that's getting close to that threshold for an extra delivery fee even bigger. Just like bigger files cost more to send, extra pages cost more to print. You'll want to find a designer who can balance readability with the economic page use so that your books cost less to produce, because that's more money in your pocket. But in print, go big on backgrounds and headers, because a beautiful paperback is an incentive for somebody standing at your booth at a convention or appearance to buy that book now. That will entice people to buy it at events, and those generally have a bigger profit margin than your average price Kindle book. So thanks to Allison, Julianne, and Carly for talking to me about book designs and layouts. If you're just starting your first draft now, rewind this video and take notes on all those things I said to do before and as you write. And if you are in the phase to hire a designer, check out the link to the Indie Visible curated designers below. Remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it on your networks. I'll be back in February with more tips for independent authors. Until then, Happy New Year, and always be writing.